Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're uncovering the story behind the Lincoln Wheat Penny, a small coin that's captured the interest of collectors for generations. With its detailed design and historical roots, this penny is more than just spare change. Some carry secrets that can make them surprisingly valuable. Let's explore the charm and mystery of these timeless coins. The 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny without a mint mark is a significant piece of American coinage that holds both historical and collectible value. Issued in the final year of World War II, this coin stands as a quiet witness to an important period in American and global history. Minted at the Philadelphia Mint, which did not use a mint mark during this period, the coin is part of the long-running Lincoln Wheat Penny series, which was first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. The design was created by Victor David Brenner, and it became one of the most iconic coin designs in United States history. The coin's presence in everyday commerce during the mid-20th century gives it a strong sense of historical authenticity and familiarity. The obverse of the 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny features a right-facing portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, whose image was the first real person ever depicted on a regular United States coin. Above Lincoln's head is the national motto, "In God We Trust," while the word liberty appears to his left and the date 1945 is struck to the right. The lack of a mint mark directly under the date confirms that it was produced at the Philadelphia Mint. The detail in the portrait, even after circulation, remains clear in most well-preserved examples and contributes to the coin's recognizability among collectors and history enthusiasts alike. On the reverse of the coin are two stylized wheat ears curving upward along the left and right borders. These frame the central inscriptions, which include the denomination 1 cent and the name of the country United States of America. Above these inscriptions is the Latin motto E pluribus unum, meaning out of many one. This motto is symbolic of the American ideal of unity and is a consistent presence on many forms of United States currency. The wheat ears give the coin its nickname, the Wheat Penny, and they reflect the agrarian foundations of the American economy at the time of the coin's original design. The 1945 Wheat Penny was struck in huge numbers with over 1 billion coins minted across all mints that year. The Philadelphia Mint alone produced more than 1 billion coins, which makes this date among the most common in the Lincoln Cent series. However, the historical context in which it was issued provides added depth. In 1945, the world was undergoing dramatic transformation as the Second World War came to a close. The United States was transitioning from a war-focused economy to one more centered on peace and reconstruction. Coins like this one were used in daily transactions during this time and thus became silent participants in a nation's renewal. The coin's composition is primarily copper at 95%, with the remaining 5% being a mixture of tin and zinc. This was the standard metal alloy for pennies before and after the temporary steel composition used in 1943. The return to copper in 1945 marked a return to normal minting practices as wartime restrictions on copper usage began to lift. The copper alloy gives the coin its distinctive reddish-brown color, which can change over time based on handling environment and storage conditions. The condition of this specific 1945 wheat penny is described as good. In coin collecting, this condition level means that the coin has seen regular use and exhibits moderate wear on its raised surfaces, but most design elements remain visible. A coin in good condition typically shows some flattening in Lincoln's hair and jawline, and the wheat stalks on the reverse may have lost some of their finer details. Despite this, the coin retains a pleasing overall appearance and remains easily identifiable for collectors, especially those beginning their Lincoln Cent collections. Coins in good condition offer a balance of affordability and historical interest. The presence of this coin in circulation for decades before being set aside by a collector or enthusiast reflects its resilience and practical value. It may have been used in schools, shops, and diners, or carried in the pocket of someone working in a factory or returning home from military service. This imagined history adds human depth to the coin beyond its metallic composition. It is a token, not just of monetary exchange, but of everyday American life during an important historical chapter. Collectors and historians alike are drawn to coins like the 1945 wheat penny for their ability to serve as physical links to the past. Each coin carries the potential to spark curiosity about the events of its time, whether economic, political, or social. Coins also help illustrate how the design and manufacturing of currency has changed over time, responding to both technological advancements and cultural shifts. For those who enjoy numismatics, the 1945 Lincoln penny is more than just a collectible item, it is a story frozen in copper. Next up we have the 1935 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark is a historical coin that connects modern collectors with the economic and social backdrop of the early 20th century United States. Issued during the Great Depression, this coin was part of the everyday lives of millions of Americans navigating through one of the most difficult periods in the country's history. The absence of a mint mark indicates that this coin was produced at the Philadelphia Mint, the oldest operating mint in the United States. The 1935 Lincoln penny is part of the long-standing Lincoln Cent series, which began in 1909 as a tribute to President Abraham Lincoln in honor of his 100th birthday. Despite being in bad and rusty condition, this coin still holds significant historical and collectible interest. The obverse side of the 1935 Lincoln wheat penny features a profile of President Abraham Lincoln facing right. This design was created by Victor David Brenner and is notable for being the first time a U.S. president appeared on a regular circulating coin. Lincoln's image has remained on the penny ever since, making it the longest continuously used design. In American coinage, above Lincoln's head is the phrase "In God We Trust," while the word liberty is inscribed to the left and the date 1935 appears to the right. Although rust and general where might have obscured some of these details on this specific coin, it is likely that traces of them remain visible depending on the extent of corrosion and circulation. The reverse of the coin is known for its iconic wheat ears design, which gives the wheat penny its common nickname. Two stalks of wheat curve along the sides of the coin surrounding the central inscriptions 1 cent and United States of America. The phrase "E pluribus unum" appears along the top. On this particular coin, which is described as having rust and being in bad condition, the wheat stalks and lettering may be significantly worn or partially faded, but the general layout can still often be identified. The overall design reflects early 20th century American ideals emphasizing agriculture, unity, and simplicity. This coin was struck during a time of widespread financial difficulty. In 1935, the United States was still deep in the throes of the Great Depression, a period that began with the stock market crash of 1929 and lasted through most of the 1930s. The government under President Franklin D. Roosevelt was implementing various New Deal programs aimed at economic recovery. The penny at that time held more purchasing power than it does today and played an essential role in everyday commerce. Coins like the 1935 Lincoln Cent were used for small purchases such as a loaf of bread or a daily newspaper. Even in worn condition, this coin carries the weight of its economic history. The Philadelphia Mint, which produced this coin, was responsible for a large portion of the nation's circulating coinage. In 1935, it struck over 245 million Lincoln cents, making the coin relatively common in terms of mintage numbers. However, the condition of any individual coin greatly affects its interest to collectors. A coin with rust and heavy wear is less valuable on the numismatic market, but still serves as a tangible artifact from a transformative period in American life. Collectors who focus on historical context rather than just pristine condition often appreciate such coins for the stories they tell. Rust on a coin like this is typically the result of improper storage or long exposure to moisture and environmental elements. It often appears as reddish or dark brown patches that obscure design elements and damage the metal surface. While rust diminishes the aesthetic and financial value of a coin, it does not erase its importance. Each blemish and spot of Corrosion represents part of the coin's long journey through time, likely passing through countless hands over nearly a century. In many cases, the coin's surface may also show pitting discoloration or a lack of detail due to corrosion and age, but these features add to its authenticity and character. The base composition of the 1935 Lincoln wheat penny is 95% copper, with the remaining 5% consisting of tin and zinc. Copper coins are particularly susceptible to oxidation, which leads to rust or verdigris when exposed to moisture. Many older pennies display this kind of damage, especially those not kept in protective holders or those stored in humid environments. While some collectors attempt to clean such coins, doing so often risks further damage and is generally discouraged by numismatists who prefer the natural look of aged coinage even in poor condition. Even a heavily circulated and rusty 1935 Lincoln wheat penny can serve as a fascinating starting point for those interested in coin collecting. It allows for study of the minting process, historical design changes, and the socio-economic role of coinage in everyday life. Holding this coin brings one in direct contact with the past, allowing for a deeper appreciation of American history through tangible objects. The wear and rust on the coin may not make it suitable for a high-end collection, but it can certainly spark curiosity and admiration for those who enjoy exploring the stories behind the coins. Collectors and historians value Lincoln wheat pennies, not just for their metal, but for their symbolism and the era they represent. President Lincoln is a figure deeply associated with justice, unity, and leadership during hardship, and his continued presence on the penny emphasizes these themes. This 1935 coin, though worn and corroded, still carries his image and the national values he embodied. For nearly a century, it has survived wars, economic upheaval, technological revolutions, and cultural shift, all the while maintaining its identity as a penny with a story. Next up, we have the 1957 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark is a classic example of mid-20th century American coinage and is part of a beloved series that continues to captivate collectors and history enthusiasts alike. Produced at the Philadelphia Mint as indicated by the absence of a mint mark, this coin was one of the final issues in the long-running Lincoln wheat penny series, which began in 1909 and concluded in 1958. The design of the coin was originally created by Victor David Brenner to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, and it marked the first time a real person appeared on regular issue United States coinage. Over the years, this humble 1-cent piece became not only a medium of daily commerce, but also a vessel carrying history, artistry, and symbolism. The obverse of the 1957 Lincoln wheat penny features a right-facing portrait of Abraham Lincoln. Above his head is the motto "In God We Trust," with the word liberty appearing to the left and the year 1957 to the right. The portrait of Lincoln is distinguished by its clarity and character, and even in circulated condition, many of the facial features and design elements remain visible. The choice of Lincoln for this denomination was significant, as it not only honored his legacy as the 16th President of the United States, but also represented values such as unity, leadership, and moral courage, which were deeply cherished by the American people during the post-war years. The reverse side of the coin carries the classic wheat ear design, which gave the coin its nickname, the wheat penny. To stylize stalks of wheat curve inward along the left and right borders, framing the inscriptions 1 cent and United States of America. The Latin phrase e pluribus unum, meaning out of many one, appears along the top. This reverse design is simple yet meaningful, emphasizing both agricultural prosperity and national unity. It remained in use from 1909 until 1958, when it was replaced by the Lincoln Memorial reverse. By 1957, the United States was in a period of relative peace and economic growth following the end of World War II and the Korean War. During this time, coins like the Lincoln penny played a central role in everyday transactions, from buying a newspaper or a candy bar to being dropped into public payphones or vending machines. The 1957 penny was a part of daily life, and for many Americans it holds memories of a bygone era where a single cent still had noticeable purchasing power. The coin was struck in a composition of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, a formula that had been standard for most Lincoln wheat pennies except for the steel cent of 1943. This composition gives the coin a reddish hue when new, which can darken or develop patina over time due to handling, oxidation, and environmental exposure. Because the coin in question is described as circulated, it likely shows signs of age, including light or smoothing of the high points and potential discoloration. Nonetheless, it still carries the visual integrity of its original design. Millions of 1957 Lincoln pennies were minted in Philadelphia, making this coin relatively common, especially in circulated grades. While its market value might not be high, its appeal to collectors lies in its age, design, and place in American numismatic history. Many collectors choose to assemble complete sets of Lincoln wheat pennies, including each year and mint mark combination, and the 1957 no mint mark coin is an essential part of that set. It is often used by new collectors as a starting point because it is accessible and still offers the satisfaction of holding a genuine historical coin. From an educational perspective, the 1957 wheat penny serves as a practical tool for teaching children and students about currency, economics, and history. Handling the coin sparks curiosity about the era in which it circulated, encouraging questions about life in the 1950s and the events that shaped that period. It connects users to stories of the post-war boom, suburban development, technological advancement, and cultural shifts that defined the decade. In terms of condition, circulated coins are typically evaluated based on the amount of detail visible on both sides. In a circulated 1957 penny, Lincoln's hair and jawline may be worn down, and the wheat stalks on the reverse may have lost some of their fine lines. However, these coins still retain their basic structure and are completely readable. They are valued for their authenticity and character rather than perfection. Collectors may choose to store circulated coins in protective holders to prevent further wear and to preserve their current state. While some collectors seek out mint state examples with full original luster, others enjoy the charm of a coin that has traveled through many hands and has its own untold story. The circulated 1957 wheat penny is a coin that has served its purpose and survived over decades, offering a link to the hands and pockets of people from a different era. Next up, we have the 1950 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark is a classic representation of American coinage from the mid-20th century. This coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which at the time did not use a mint mark on its coins. As part of the Lincoln Cent series, the 1950 wheat penny is notable for its place in American history as well as for its enduring design and solid craftsmanship. A coin in good condition from this year is not rare, but it holds significant value to collectors, historians, and everyday enthusiasts who appreciate the story a coin can tell. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the Lincoln wheat penny was first issued in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of President Abraham Lincoln's birth. It was the first regular issue American coin to feature the likeness of a real person, a departure from the allegorical figures and symbolic designs that had come before. The obverse of the 1950 penny carries the familiar image of Lincoln facing right, with the word liberty on the left side and the date 1950 on the right. Above Lincoln's portrait is the national motto, "In God We Trust." Though the coin has seen some circulation, a good condition example retains all the key design details and a decent level of definition around Lincoln's features and the inscriptions. The reverse side of the 1950 Lincoln penny showcases the original wheat reverse that was used from 1909 through 1958. It features the stylized stalks of wheat curving along the left and right edges of the coin, symbolizing agriculture and prosperity. In the center between the wheat stalks are the words 1 cent and United States of America, with the Latin phrase E pluribus unum positioned along the top. These design elements are simple yet strong, offering a visual balance that collectors have admired for generations. Even in circulated or moderately worn condition, a 1950 wheat penny can show a clear outline of the wheat design and readable lettering, which are both important for collectors and evaluators alike. The Philadelphia Mint produced over 272 million Lincoln Wheat pennies in 1950. This large production number means the coin is not rare in terms of availability, but that does not diminish its significance. Many of these coins have long since disappeared from circulation due to wear damage or being collected. Those that remain, especially in good or better condition, are a part of American numismatic history. A coin from this year that has survived the passage of time with only moderate signs of wear is worthy of appreciation and consideration for any historical collection. One of the most fascinating aspects of collecting coins, such as the 1950 Lincoln penny, is understanding the context of the time in which they were used. The year 1950 was a transitional period in American history. The country was just beginning to emerge from the shadows of World War II and entering the Korean War. It was a time of economic change as industries adapted to peacetime production and new technologies began to shape everyday life. The average American family was beginning to experience a rise in prosperity, and coins like the 1950 wheat penny were commonly found in pockets, purses, and cash registers across the nation. This penny could have been used to buy a newspaper, candy, or any number of small everyday items during a time of cultural and economic development. From a collector's perspective, the 1950 wheat penny without a mint mark is a necessary part of any complete Lincoln cent collection. Many collectors aim to build date and mint mark sets that include every issue from 1909 through 1958. Although the 1950 penny is generally affordable, its historical context, design consistency, and nostalgic value give it a special place in a collection. Collectors often look for examples that are well struck, have good color, and show even wear. A coin in good condition, such as this one, usually displays clear details, even if it lacks the original mint luster or shows some minor surface imperfections. Coins like the 1950 Lincoln penny also serve educational purposes. Teachers, coin hobbyists, and museums often use them to help explain aspects of American history, economics, and even metallurgy. The composition of the 1950 penny is primarily copper with a small amount of tin and zinc. This makes it visually and physically distinct from modern pennies, which are largely zinc with a thin copper coating. Holding a 1950 penny is like holding a small piece of metal history forged in a very different era of American industry. The visual condition of the coin also tells a story. A good condition penny from 1950 may show some signs of circulation, such as light wear on Lincoln's cheek or hair, or faintness in the wheat stalks on the reverse. However, the major design features remain intact and the coin does not have serious damage, such as corrosion, deep scratches, or large dents. Its color might range from light brown to a darker aged copper tone depending on how it was stored or handled over the years. Such patina is common and often adds character to the coin, making it more desirable to those who prefer coins with visible history. Next up we have the 1918 Lincoln Wheat penny without a mint mark is a historical and collectible coin that reflects both the artistry and the economic circumstances of the early 20th century in the United States. Minted at the Philadelphia Mint as indicated by the absence of a mint mark, this coin is part of the long-running Lincoln Wheat penny series that began in 1909. It holds significance not only as currency, but also as a symbol of American heritage. During a time when the country was involved in World War I and undergoing significant changes both socially and economically, designed by Victor David Brenner, the Lincoln Wheat penny was the first regular issue coin in the United States to feature a real historical figure. Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, was chosen to appear the 1-cent coin in 1909, marking the centennial of his birth. The obverse of the coin features a right-facing portrait of Lincoln with the date 1918 displayed to the right and the word liberty to the left. Above Lincoln's head is the national motto, "In God We Trust." Despite the scratches present on this specific coin, these elements typically remain recognizable even in circulated and worn examples, offering a clear view into the design and intent of early 20th century coinage. On the reverse side of the coin, the design showcases two wheat stalks curving along the left and right borders framing the inscriptions 1 cent and United States of America. At the top of the reverse side is the phrase e pluribus unum, which translates to out of many one. This reverse design remained in use until 1958 and was widely recognized by the public throughout its circulation. The wheat design emphasized the country's agricultural heritage and symbolized growth and strength during a time when the United States was asserting itself on the world stage. The year 1918 was a pivotal one in global history as it marked the final year of World War I. The United States had entered the war in 1917, and by 1918, American soldiers were actively participating in combat overseas. The economy was focused on wartime production, and many resources were directed toward supporting the troops. Despite these challenges, the Philadelphia Mint continued to produce coins in large numbers, including over 288 million Lincoln pennies. In 1918, these coins were an essential part of daily commerce, being used for everything from buying bread to paying for newspapers and transportation. The specific condition of this 1918 Lincoln penny includes scratches, which are common for coins that have been in circulation for over a century. These scratches could have occurred through daily handling, contact with other coins, or exposure to various environments over the decades. While these marks may reduce the coin's grade in terms of professional evaluation, they also serve as a testament to the coin's journey through time. Each mark and scratch contributes to its character, telling a silent story of the many hands through which it has passed and the transactions it has facilitated. In numismatic terms, this coin falls into the category of circulated condition wherein surface blemishes that show its age. Collectors often consider factors such as overall design clarity, the visibility of Lincoln's features, and the sharpness of the wheat stalks on the reverse when determining a coin's grade. While mint state coins are highly sought after, circulated coins like this one offer a more accessible entry point for new collectors and still hold value for those interested in assembling a complete Lincoln cent collection. The 1918 Lincoln wheat penny is also significant for its historical context. It reflects a time when the United States was becoming more industrialized and urbanized, and when coins played a vital role in everyday life. The presence of Lincoln's image reinforced national unity and pride, especially during a period of global conflict. The decision to place Lincoln on the penny was rooted in admiration for his leadership during the Civil War and his lasting legacy as a symbol of equality and perseverance. Although the coin has been affected by wear and scratches, it remains a tangible link to the past. Holding this coin invites reflection on the era from which it came, including the hardships of war, the efforts of the American people, and the evolution of U.S. coinage. Many collectors and history enthusiasts find deep satisfaction in owning such coins, not just for their monetary value, but for the sense of continuity and connection they provide. The 1957 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark is a classic and familiar coin for collectors and enthusiasts of United States coinage. Minted in Philadelphia, which traditionally did not use a mint mark, this coin is part of the beloved Lincoln wheat cent series that ran from 1909 to 1958. The 1957 issue represents one of the final years of the wheat reverse design before it was replaced by the Lincoln Memorial design in 1959. This coin features the same design that had been in use for decades, but carries with it the character and story of its own year of minting. The coin in question is noted to be in dark shade with some rust, which suggests it has aged with some exposure to the element and has experienced wear over the years through circulation or storage in less controlled environments. On the obverse side of the coin, the profile of Abraham Lincoln is prominently featured. Designed by Victor David Brenner, this portrait was the first time a real historical figure appeared on an American coin in regular circulation. This design debuted in 1909 on the centennial of Lincoln's birth, and has remained a constant presence on the penny since then. Above Lincoln's head appears the national motto "In God We Trust," while the word liberty is placed to the left side of the portrait. The date 1957 is displayed on the right side of Lincoln's profile. The absence of a mint mark below the date confirms that the coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. Even in its aged condition with some rust and a dark tone, the design remains recognizable and serves as a symbol of national history. The reverse side of the 1957 Lincoln penny carries the iconic wheat ears design, also by Victor David Brenner. The two stylized wheat stalks run along each side of the reverse, framing the central inscriptions. The denomination 1 cent and the issuing nation, United States of America, appear between the wheat stalks. Above these inscriptions is the Latin motto "E pluribus unum," which means "out of many one." This reverse design celebrates the agricultural roots of America and remained unchanged for almost 5 decades. Despite any corrosion or discoloration caused by rust and aging, many of the details on the reverse often remain visible enough to be appreciated even in circulated condition. With over 180 million 1957 Lincoln cents produced by the Philadelphia Mint, the coin is considered common from a mintage perspective. However, its appeal lies in its history and physical presence rather than in rarity. Coins like this were widely circulated and used by millions of Americans in everyday life. This particular coin has taken on a dark shade and shows signs of rust, which may have been caused by exposure to moisture or improper storage conditions. Copper, the primary metal used in pennies up to 1982, is known to oxidize over time, especially in the presence of humidity. The rust indicates oxidation and environmental damage, which can obscure some of the coin's finer details, but also tells a story of its age and use. Collectors may view a darkened and rusted coin in a variety of ways. While many prefer coins in brilliant, uncirculated condition, others appreciate the character and authenticity that comes with age. A darkened patina and signs of rust do not necessarily destroy a coin's value, but they do affect its grading in formal numismatic terms. That said, this 1957 penny still holds historical value and sentimental significance. It serves as a tangible connection to a different era in American life when small change had more purchasing power and was used extensively by every citizen in transactions both large and small. The presence of rust and a dark tone requires care in handling and storage to prevent further degradation. While cleaning coins is generally discouraged by numismatists because it can scratch and devalue the coin, preserving it in a stable, dry environment is recommended. Coin holders made of acid-free materials or storage in albums designed for coin collection can help minimize additional exposure to moisture or corrosive substances. These preservation techniques help retain what remains of the original design and slow down any ongoing damage. Beyond its physical state, this 1957 penny has educational and historical significance. Coins are among the most democratic artifacts in a culture because they pass through all layers of society. The Lincoln wheat penny in particular has been held by factory workers, school children, business owners, and government officials. Each coin carries not only economic value, but also historical context. The 1950s in America was a decade of post-war prosperity, cultural evolution, and growing influence on the global stage. The year 1957 itself was marked by political events, economic developments, and cultural milestones, and this coin was in circulation. During those times, holding onto a coin from this period allows modern collectors to connect with that history in a direct and meaningful way. Even with its flaws or signs of corrosion, a coin like this can be a conversation starter, a keepsake, or a piece of a larger collection. Some collectors seek out coins from specific years to commemorate birthdays, anniversaries, or personal milestones. Others aim to complete full sets of wheat pennies, which includes every year and mint mark from 1909 to 1958. Next up we have the 1954 Lincoln wheat penny is a classic example of mid-20th century American coinage and reflects the continued legacy of the Lincoln cent series, which began in 1909. This coin was struck at the San Francisco Mint as denoted by the small S mint mark located just below the date on the obverse side. The 1950 for S penny is part of a long line of wheat cents that were issued from 1909 to 1958 and is one of the last Lincoln wheat pennies to be minted before the change in reverse design to the Lincoln Memorial in 1959. The coin, in good condition, maintains the essential features of its original design, though some moderate signs of circulation may be present. The obverse of the 1950 for S Lincoln wheat penny features a right-facing portrait of Abraham Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner. This portrait was the first depiction of a real person to appear on a circulating United States coin, and it has remained largely unchanged for over a century. Above Lincoln's head is the inscription "In God We Trust," while to the left appears the word "Liberty," and the date 1950 for accompanied by the S mint mark is placed to the right. The image of Lincoln is still clearly defined in coins that are considered to be in good condition, although there may be light smoothing on some of the finer details, such as Lincoln's cheek, jaw, and hairline. On the reverse side of the coin, the wheat ears flank both sides of the design, curving inward to frame the inscriptions 1 cent and United States of America. Above these words appears the Latin phrase "e pluribus unum," which means "out of many one," and symbolizes the unity of the American states. This reverse design, also created by Brenner, is simple yet iconic and celebrates the agricultural heritage of the United States. The wheat ears are generally visible even on coins with moderate wear, and they offer a strong visual connection to a time when agriculture was a dominant force in American life. The 1950 for S penny was struck during a period when the San Francisco Mint was still producing circulating coins, although this would end just 2 years later. Over 100 million 1950 for S Lincoln pennies were minted, which means that this coin is not considered rare, but it is still valued for its historical and collectible significance. Coins in good condition, such as this one, are often sought after by collectors who are looking to complete year and mint mark sets, or who enjoy studying the various minting characteristics that differ slightly from one mint to another. One of the important aspects of this coin is its connection to the economic and social landscape of the 1950s. The United States in 1954 was in a period of post-war economic growth and prosperity. The country was experiencing increased industrialization, expansion of suburban communities, and growing consumer culture. The coinage from this period reflects these changes with stable production levels and consistent designs that emphasized national unity and continuity. Coins like the 1950 for S penny circulated widely in the hands of Americans who used them in their daily transactions to buy goods and services in an economy that was transitioning into a modern consumer era. While this specific coin is described as being in good condition, it is important to note that in numismatic grading, good typically means that the coin has seen significant circulation, but all major design elements are still visible. There may be some wear on Lincoln's facial features and on the wheat stalks on the reverse, but the overall shape and inscriptions remain clear. This level of wear tells a story about the coin's journey through time and commerce, passing from one pocket or cash register to another for decades before ending up in a collection. For collectors, the 1950 for S wheat penny offers an opportunity to own a piece of American history without requiring a large financial investment. It holds appeal for both beginner and experienced collectors who value coins not only for their rarity, but for the story each one carries. Many collectors enjoy assembling complete sets of Lincoln wheat cents from all the mints and every year as a way to trace the evolution of the coin and the history of the United States over the span of 5 decades. The coin's composition is also notable. Like other Lincoln wheat pennies struck between 1909 and 1980, to the 1950 for S coin is made of 95% copper, with the remaining 5% being a combination of tin and zinc. This high copper content gives the coin a distinctive reddish hue when preserved in optimal conditions, although coins that have circulated typically darken over time due to exposure to air and handling. A coin in good condition may still retain some of its original color, especially around protected areas near the lettering and design elements. Storing and preserving a 1950 for S penny is relatively easy and important to maintaining its condition. Collectors often keep such coins in albums, holders, or capsules that prevent further wear and exposure to elements like moisture or air that can accelerate oxidation. While this particular coin may not be rare or especially valuable in monetary terms, its significance as a historical artifact cannot be understated. It represents the values of an era and the resilience of a design that has become one of the most recognized in American numismatics. Next up we have the 1937 D. Lincoln Wheat penny is a notable and historically meaningful coin that was struck at the Denver Mint during a time of economic recovery and cultural transformation in the United States. With the Great Depression still fresh in the minds of many Americans, the 1930s represented a decade of perseverance, resilience, and the beginning of gradual progress. The 1937 D penny is part of the long-running Lincoln Cent series, which has been one of the most iconic coinage series in the history of American currency. It carries the legacy of President Abraham Lincoln and reflects the minting standards and artistic choices of its era. This specific coin bearing the D Mint mark signifies its production in Denver, and in circulated condition, it continues to serve as a physical remnant of that time. The Lincoln Wheat penny was designed by Victor David Brenner, whose initials VDB are present on some earlier coins, but not typically visible on coins from 1937. The obverse features the profile of President Lincoln facing right, a design that has remained in place on the penny for over a century. This portrayal of Lincoln was both a tribute to the president and a symbol of national unity during a period when Americans were striving for stability. The obverse design also includes the words, "In God We Trust," at the top, liberty to the left of Lincoln, and the date 1937 with the D Mint mark just below it on the right side. Even though this coin has been in circulation and exhibits were the primary design elements are often still visible in a circulated example. The facial features of Lincoln, though possibly softened by years of handling, generally remain recognizable, and the lettering remains legible. The reverse of the coin is what gives this series its common name, wheat penny, to stylized wheat stalks. Arch along the left and right edges of the reverse design surrounding the denomination 1 cent and the country name United States of America. The Latin phrase E pluribus unum is inscribed along the top, symbolizing the idea that the nation is formed from many states and people. This reverse design was used from 1909 until 1958, after which it was replaced by the Lincoln Memorial design. The wheat ears on a circulated 1937 D penny may appear worn down or smoothed, but they usually retain their overall form, giving the coin a distinct and recognizable appearance. In terms of mintage, the 1937 D Lincoln penny had a total production of over 50 million coins. While not rare in the absolute sense, it becomes more interesting to collectors because of its age, condition, and mint origin. Many of these coins were heavily circulated, meaning that high-grade examples are scarcer and more valuable. A circulated coin, such as this one, holds appeal not for rarity, but for its historical significance and a story it tells through its surface wear and age. The circulation marks, such as light scratches, worn details, and changes in coloration, are all part of the coin's journey through countless hands and decades of use. The Denver Mint, where this coin was produced, was established in the early 20th century and became known for its strong output of circulating coinage. Coins with the D Mint mark have been an important part of American commerce for many decades. The 1937 D penny reflects the craftsmanship of that facility and is a typical product of the pre-war period in American numismatics. Collectors who focus on mint mark varieties and date-specific sets value these Denver-struck coins for the diversity they bring to a Lincoln Cent collection, including coins from all three major mints of the time: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Some more complete historical and geographical representation of American coinage. The copper composition of the 1937 D penny is also worth noting. Made from 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, the coin has a solid and lasting structure, which has helped it endure over the years. The color of a circulated copper coin changes over time, typically shifting from its original reddish tone to a darker brown as it reacts with the air and environment. This natural aging or patina gives the coin character and authenticity and is often seen as a mark of its genuine passage through time rather than a flaw. In some cases, collectors even prefer coins with an even natural tone because it demonstrates the age without suggesting damage or improper storage. Coins like the 1937 Lincoln Wheat penny are valuable educational tools as well. They provide insight into the design preferences, political sentiments, and economic conditions of the era. In 1937, the United States was still recovering from the financial hardships of the early 1930s, and the coin reflects the enduring presence of President Lincoln as a symbol of strength during difficult times. The modest 1-cent denomination was widely used in everyday transactions, which makes it likely that this coin once changed hands many times to buy simple necessities like bread, stamps, or newspapers. Holding this coin today brings a sense of connection to those past lives and experiences. Next up we have the 1945 Lincoln Wheat penny without a mint mark is a classic piece of American coinage that carries with it both historical value and a strong sense of nostalgia. Minted at the Philadelphia Mint, which traditionally did not use a mint mark, this penny was part of a coin series that played a significant role everyday life for generations of Americans. The Lincoln Wheat cent series began in 1909 and continued until 1958 when it was replaced by the Lincoln Memorial Reverse. The 1945 issue comes from a pivotal time in American and world history as World War II was coming to an end and the country was preparing for a period of post-war growth and change. A coin like this, even if it has some dust on its surface, remains a tangible link to that important era. The obverse side of the 1945 Lincoln penny features the familiar and enduring portrait of Abraham Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner. This was the first time in U.S. history that a president appeared on a regular circulating coinage. Above Lincoln's head is the national motto, "In God We Trust," and to the left of his profile appears the word liberty. The date 1945 is clearly displayed to the right of Lincoln's bust. Since there is no mint mark below the date, it is understood that this coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. The portrait of Lincoln is a symbol of national unity, strength, and integrity, and his presence on the penny has been consistent for over a century. Although this specific coin shows signs of dust, it still retains the overall structure and presentation that collectors recognize and appreciate. Turning to the reverse side of the coin, the design showcases the stylized ears of wheat went along each side of the coin's outer edge. These wheat stalks give the coin its nickname, the Wheat penny. Between them are the inscriptions 1 cent and United States of America written in large capital letters. Above these words is the Latin motto E pluribus unum, which means out of many one, and reflects the unity of the states under one nation. This design, also by Brenner, represents America's agricultural roots and economic stability during the early to mid-20th century. Even if the coin has accumulated some dust over the years, much of this design is likely still visible, as the raised elements on older coins are often durable even with moderate wear or environmental exposure. From a mintage perspective, the 1945 Lincoln cent is quite common, with over 1 billion coins produced in Philadelphia alone. Despite its high mintage number, collectors often seek out examples from this period because of their historical context and simple but elegant design. The coin's affordability and availability also make it a favorite among those who are just beginning to build a collection or who enjoy filling coin folders by date and mint mark. A coin in circulated condition with surface dust would typically not carry high monetary value, but it still has collectible appeal, especially to those who appreciate coins with character and signs of use. Dust on coins is a sign of age and storage conditions. It may have gathered on the coin from being kept in drawers, boxes, or containers over the decades. Unlike rust or corrosion, dust is usually less damaging to a coin's surface, but it can dull the luster and obscure details temporarily. Most collectors advise against cleaning coins, especially using abrasive methods, but gently removing loose dust using a soft brush or air can help reveal more of the coin's original features without harming its value or history. However, in many cases, collectors prefer to leave coins untouched, allowing their aged condition to speak for itself. Beyond its physical characteristics, the 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny is a reminder of a time when the United States was undergoing significant transformation. The year 1945 marked the end of World War II, with victory in Europe in May and victory over Japan in August. Millions of Americans had served in the armed forces, and back home the economy was shifting from wartime production to peacetime industry. This coin was likely used in transactions related to rationing, wartime savings, or post-war celebrations. It may have passed through the hands of soldiers, families, workers, and students during a time of immense national pride and change. Coins like this are not just pieces of metal, but cultural artifacts that carry stories and emotions. Even a coin with some dust on its surface has likely touched the lives of many people over its long circulation. Whether used to buy a loaf of bread, a newspaper, or candy for a child, each cent had value and utility. Over time, as currency evolved and prices changed, the purchasing power of the penny diminished, but its role in American history remained firm. Today, these coins are often kept as keepsakes, gifts, teaching tools, and additions to personal collections. Collectors who focus on wheat pennies often strive to gather every year and mint-mark combination from 1909 to 1958. The 1945 no-mint mark cent fits right into this collection and offers an accessible and meaningful addition. It allows collectors to reflect on history, appreciate design, and study minting variations. Although this coin may not shine as brightly as a freshly minted piece, its worn appearance and dusty surface offer authenticity and the charm of antiques. Next up we have the 1946 Lincoln Wheat Penny without a mint mark is a significant piece of American coinage history and holds value both for collectors and for those interested in the economic and cultural context of mid-20th century United States. Struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which did not use a mint mark, the 1946 wheat penny represents the first full year of post-World War to coin production in the United States. It was a time of transition and renewal when the country was adjusting to peace. After years of global conflict, coins from this era like the 1946 wheat penny carry with them stories not just of commerce, but of the shifting landscape of a recovering nation. This coin features the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse side, a design created by Victor David Brenner. This design was introduced in 1909 to mark the centennial of Lincoln's birth and was the first regular issue United States coin to feature a real person. The depiction of Lincoln remains one of the most enduring in all of American numismatics. Above Lincoln's head appears the phrase "In God We Trust," while the word "liberty" is inscribed to the left and the date 1946 is positioned to the right. The absence of a mint mark indicates that the coin was minted in Philadelphia, which was standard practice at the time for coins produced there. The reverse of the 1946 Lincoln penny features two stylized wheat ears on either side of the coin, which give the series its name, the wheat penny. Between the wheat ears are the inscriptions 1 cent and United States of America, while the phrase "e pluribus unum," meaning out of many one, appears above. This reverse design, also by Brenner, remained in place from 1909 to 1958, after which it was replaced by the Lincoln Memorial reverse. The wheat design is simple but effective, symbolizing the agricultural foundation of the nation and its people. The condition of this particular 1946 wheat penny is described as having a dark shade. This dark coloration is typically the result of oxidation or exposure to moisture and air over an extended period. While this may affect the coin's eye appeal for some collectors, it also serves as a marker of age and authenticity. Many circulated coins from the 1940s have darkened over time, especially if they were not stored in protective environments. Despite this dark tone, the coin can still maintain strong detail, both its obverse and reverse designs, depending on the extent of wear and environmental impact. In terms of mintage, the 1946 Lincoln penny saw an extremely high production with over 1 billion coins struck in Philadelphia alone. This high mintage means that the 1946 penny is not considered rare, but its historical context makes it a valuable piece for collectors who appreciate coins for more than just scarcity. The massive output also reflects the robust post-war economy and the government's effort to meet the coinage demands of a population transitioning from wartime rationing back to consumer-based activity. Coins like the 1946 wheat penny played a vital role in the everyday lives of Americans. They were used to buy food, newspapers, bus fare, and countless other items that made up the rhythm of daily life. Their durability and wide circulation mean they often show signs of age and handling, which adds to their character. A coin with a dark shade suggests years of passing through countless hands and transactions, each one a moment in the life of a growing nation. Collectors often seek out 1946 wheat pennies for inclusion in Lincoln cent albums or as examples of post-war coinage. Even though the coin is common in the grand scheme of numismatics, its value lies in its ability to connect us to a specific time in history. It offers insights into the minting technology of the day, the materials used in coin production, and the wear patterns that develop over time. The 1946 penny is composed primarily of copper, which darkens naturally over time due to oxidation. In coins that are not heavily cleaned or altered, this natural darkening is a sign of authenticity and age. Preserving a 1946 penny with a dark shade requires careful handling. While the coin may not be worth a large amount in monetary terms, especially in heavily circulated condition, it still benefits from proper storage in coin holders, albums, or protective sleeves. These methods help prevent further environmental damage and preserve the coin for future study or enjoyment. The 1946 penny also serves as a tool for education. Teachers, historians, and numismatists use coins like these to illustrate the development of American history, economics, and art. They can show how design elements have changed or remained consistent over time, how minting processes evolved, and how coins reflected the priorities and culture of the nation at various points in its history.